Hey Jim, I wanted to give you a video because showing you like with the actual saber is going to be a little bit easier than trying to describe how to do a lot of this stuff. And there's a few things that you need to know with this saber. So here's the saber, right? This is the blade section, this is the hilt section, okay? There's the button to turn the switch on. Now, one thing about this is that this blade can actually come off, okay? So when you're rolling around the house or whatever, you don't necessarily need to have a blade on. There's this hex key that I'm going to include with the package. You just put it in there and unturn it, and you can take the blade in and out. So it's going to be out when you get the package. Just shove it in there and then tighten this back down. You don't have to tighten it super tight. You just want it tight enough so the blade doesn't move, okay? I mean, you guys aren't going to be sparring like super hard anyway, so don't tighten this too tight, otherwise you'll break through the blade, and that's no bueno. The next thing is, when you run this thing for a while, don't be surprised if it gets warm. Uh, there's high-powered LEDs in here, so there is some heat that's generated. Now, there's a bunch of heat sinks in here. There's a big, huge heat sink, and then I got another separate heat sink too. So it's dissipating the heat to make sure you don't overdrive the LEDs. But at the same time, it does transfer some of the heat to the hilt, and it does get a little warm if you run it for say 10 minutes straight without turning it off. But it's not anything that's going to burn you or anything, so don't worry about that. It's just one of those things. Your hand gives off heat too, so it's a combination. It gets warm, but don't be freaked out if it gets warm. The next thing is the pommel. This is where the batteries are, so you can unscrew this part and just give it a little shake. You don't need to shake hard. Well, hold on a second. Okay. So give it a nice shake, and this should pop right out. Here's your battery. There's one battery. There's two batteries. Now they might be a little tight, so you can take a little screwdriver to pop them out, but don't yank it hard. But you pull this out, you replace the battery, one battery, two battery, and then you just shove it back in here. You might have to twist it a little and shove it back in there, and then screw the pommel back on, and you're good. Okay. Now, one last thing. I'm going to leave batteries in here, and the batteries actually, they're continuously drawing power from the battery. That's just the way the board, the electronic board in here works. Once this saber goes to sleep, it'll keep drawing power. So if you keep the batteries inside, eventually the batteries will drain to zero till they get cut off. Now don't worry about it cutting off, because you just need to put the batteries back in the charger that I'm going to give you. Here's the charger. I'm going to put the batteries back. You just put the batteries back in the charger and charge them up again. So I'm going to leave batteries in here, so it's going to be working as soon as you get it out the package. But they're probably going to die if you leave it in the package until you're going to give it to your kid. So I'm giving you an extra set of batteries that are fully charged, so the day of his party, um, or his actual birthday, you can put new batteries in and make sure it lights up, and that's it. Now, one other thing, make sure that you put the batteries in the correct way, positive and negative, okay? So the button end is the positive side and the flat end is the negative side. The flat end, which is the negative side, always goes towards the springs. If you reverse it, you can blow this thing out, okay? So, well, you won't blow the expensive part, the electronics. You won't blow that, but you'll definitely blow the LEDs if you don't put the batteries in the right way. So I cannot stress enough that you probably should be changing the batteries for your kid when they need changing. Even though this is a toy, it's pretty expensive, so you don't want to screw it up. And Jason has actually reversed the polarity on his saber once, and I had to redo the whole thing. So. Make sure that you change the batteries for them. All right, I guess that's about it. We'll talk more at work, but I wanted to give you this quick video to watch, so make sure you don't watch it when the kids are around. All right, bye.